Guest. Her name is Larrisa Soehn, and she's going to be sharing with us how writing a book can transform your life. So once again, welcome everyone. I'm so pleased that you've taken the time to be here. I'm your host, Virginia Parsons, and it really is my passion to provide you, the viewer, with a gold mine of inspirational tips, strategies, and advice to help you grow your business from inspirational businesswomen in the know. And as I said, we have a fabulous guest today. Larrisa Soehn is going to really share some powerful information with you. But first, I want to acknowledge you as the viewer because you have chosen to take the time to be here. And I know that your time is valuable. So it is always my goal to provide you with some great information that you can take action on. And I know Larissa is going to provide that for you today. Now, before we get started, I'm going to play the preview trailer. And while you're watching that, it would be just terrific if you would help spread the word and let other entrepreneurs know about this great show that's about to take place. So I'm going to go do that, and you go ahead and let people know about it. Here we go. All right, I think you can see we're in for a real treat today. Now, before we move forward and introduce you to Larissa, I just want to share that today's show is sponsored by hangout-marketing.com, where you can go get a complimentary live stream marketing assessment. Now, why might you want to take that assessment? Well, it will only take you a couple minutes, number one. Number two, it's really going to open your eyes up to how you can start to use live stream video to brand, grow, and market your business in really professional ways. And you might even qualify for a complimentary Shine Online session with me. So to take advantage of that, all you need to do is text #success to 775-800-4179. Or if you're out of the country, simply go to hangout-marketing.com and it will take you there as well. All right, so let's go ahead and get started introducing you to Larissa. So have you been putting off writing that book that has been on your to-do list for years? My special guest, Larrisa Soehn, founder of Next Page Publishing, is an international best-selling author. And she will reveal how you can take your business to the next level and establish yourself as an expert by getting that book project done. Now, Larissa will share how everything changed for her when she wrote her first book. She is the creator of Build Your Business with a Book program. And here's what we're going to be discussing today that I think you'll find very informative. Number one, how a book can change your life. Number two, how using your book to grow your business can be a real advantage. And number three, the 3 steps that you can take today to go ahead and get started. Now, just a little more information for you. Larissa founded her publishing house after leaving her corporate position of 12 years. And after having her daughter, she suffered serious mental health problems. Oh, I only can imagine how hard it is sometimes to have a new person in your life that you're responsible for. After having her daughter, she suffered serious mental health problems, and she wasn't prepared for how becoming a mother was going to change her. Her priorities shifted completely, and she began to look at her life entirely differently. Then in 2021, she wrote her first novel as an escape from her reality. Now, fast forward 2 years, and she has written 8 books and launched a business on the basis of helping others, particularly entrepreneurs, write books to grow their own business. So welcome, Larissa. Come on in, say hi to our audience. It's great to have you here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I think this is an important topic because I think that you are so right that there are so many women out there and men who have that book inside them, have been thinking about it, but have been struggling to get it out there, not knowing how, not only to get the book written, but how to get it published and all the different factors that are involved in that. So we went a little bit into your background, but I think it's important that people, especially entrepreneurs, understand how you transformed from that corporate position into saying, this is really where my passion is, this is where my drive is, and this is how I can help other people get through and get their books out there to the world. So share with us a little bit about how that all transpired, and maybe if there was a defining moment in your life that really made the difference for you to move into this path.
Yeah, it's such a funny story because writing a book for me was actually never on my goal list. It wasn't something that, I went through my teenage years, my young adult life thinking, oh, this is a goal. This is something I'm going to do. It's actually something that happened accidentally for me. My first sci-fi book was an accident. I didn't mean to write it until I was about 10,000 words in, and I kind of had this revelation that I think I'm writing a book.
10,000 words in? Whoa.
It was supposed to be a game. My husband and I wrote mystery games for kids, and so it was supposed to be an alien-based sci-fi game. But then it just got way too long, and I was like, this can't be a game. And then all of a sudden it was a book. And I was off work at the time for my mental health struggles. I was very depressed. I was having a hard time parenting and working and doing life. And when I say hard time, I mean really hard time. And I think a lot of us can resonate with that, especially we were in the middle of COVID. I was a relatively new parent, relatively new wife. There was a lot going on in our lives at the time, and I was struggling really hard. And so I turned to creative writing, and I lost myself in it in a good way, in a very good way.
All right.
And I attribute a lot of what I went through to my character in my sci-fi book. I say that she brought me back from the brink of a very, very dark time, and I owe a lot to her, and she changed my life. And that's what I want to talk about with your readers today, is the power that your book can have on your life. And yes, my book is a sci-fi book, but that's actually not what I'm here to talk about today. I'm here to talk about your business boosting book and how it can have the same impact on you that my sci-fi book had on me.
I love hearing this. It's such an evolutionary process that I never would have thought of. And the fact that your character in the book changed your life. Is that what you said? I think that's what I heard.
That is, yeah. She's I have her here with me. Her name is Alexia, and she's me. She is me, like, but she travels to other worlds and galaxies, and she fights aliens. But she starts out like I am. She started out weak and fragile and struggling and not happy in her life, but she had to go through a lot to come out stronger and better and be the defender that she was supposed to be. And in doing that, in writing her, I had to go through what she was going through emotionally. And she changed my life. She changed my life.
I love it. I love hearing this because what you're hearing from Larissa is that the fiction, the whole writing, the whole process of putting this character together and moving through galaxies and it being sci-fi, it still was a creation in her mind that really took her to a whole another level in her life. So yeah, that's what she's going to talk to you about today. And I just want to say to you, if you find any ideas that Larissa is sharing with you, what I call those gems, please put them in the comments. Let us know what's resonating with you, because I'm really surprised by this one. This resonates with me, that you can take a fictional character and really transform your own life. I love that. It's going to go in the gem box for me, Larissa. All
Yeah.
right, so let's move into how exactly can writing a book change your life? Because that is the first topic we're going to go into depth in. So go ahead.
Yeah. And I know we're here to specifically to talk about a professional book, a nonfiction book. Of course, my background is in fiction, and yes, she changed my life. But let's talk nonfiction. Let's talk to, the business women that are out there that want to write a book for their business. There are ways that you can let that book in to transform you both personally and professionally. And a lot of the women that I work with are very heart-centered. They're in coaching professions. They're in the position of helping others, of spreading love and acceptance and joy. And their whole business is built on compassion.
Yeah.
And their book has the ability to do for them personally. And this is where I like what we do in my business, is it opens up the door for your compassion for yourself. Because if we write the book the right way, if you put yourself in it the right way, you open yourself up to love, unconditional love for yourself and what you've gone through and what you're facing. And I felt it with a lot of my books. I have 6 books out there that are published, and every one of them has taught me something different about myself. They all have different intents and different reasons. And every one of them has given me that permission to accept me for who I am and what I have done and what I'm capable of doing. And if you partner with someone that fosters that in you, that looks for that growth, that relationship, you can absolutely write a book that's just about your business. It's just about teaching. But the women that I work with, they want more. They want the deeper connection. They want the growth, the personal empowerment. So that's the one way a book can change your life. If you let it in, you will feel unconditional love for yourself.
So let's just pause there, because I think that when you make a really what I call a key moment, it needs to be nurtured, as you say, if you let it in. So you're really setting the author up, or the potential author that you might work with, to look at it a whole different way, rather than just getting their knowledge on paper. When you're talking, especially about business type of book, you're getting your essence, your soul, your persona onto paper as well. And I really agree that when people read a book, they're going for story as much as they're going for information. They're going for making that deeper connection. And if your intention for the book is also that you're inviting people to get to know you better and get to feel a connection and a sense of trust with you, then it's nothing more important than going into the essence of who you are and the story behind it. So I think this is really an interesting concept, because I don't think it's been talked about very much in the book publishing area. Have you found that to be the case?
In the business world, no.
Yeah.
It's not. And that is the softer side of women in publishing, is we are bringing this in, that heart-centered approach, that I'm not just here to teach you a skill that you might implement. I'm here to make a connection with you that resonates, that makes you want to reach out with me, makes you want to implement what I'm saying because you believe in my message. Right? We teach storytelling in our courses. so that you can do it for your benefit and your readers' benefit, because that's the power of letting it in for yourself. You get to look at how far you've come and what you've done in this world, and it's transformative.
Oh, it sounds like it. So when you're working with your clients, do you have a couple tips, or just can you expand upon a little bit about how you bring this out, how you nurture this in their own writing?
Yeah, a big part of it is conversation, honestly. And that's why we partner with authors in the writing phase, because what happens with authors that sit alone in their little chambers and write their books is they start talking to a mirror, and they forget that they're talking to an audience. They forget that they're talking to someone. So by hiring us and bringing us in as your coach, as your teammate, as your cheerleader, we have these one-on-one conversations, and all of a sudden you're talking to a person and you're sharing these stories, and you start using a language that's built on connection instead of a language that's built on mirroring, on just spitting and reverberating back what you think needs to be said. You're putting emotion into it. You're putting emphasis where emphasis needs to be for storytelling. And that's a hard thing to teach without conversation. So we base a lot of it on one-on-one coaching, on that conversation of like, tell me about your story. We'll record it, and then you go and write it as we talked about it.
Oh, I think that's brilliant. And you really have pointed out the power of conversation. I mean, we are humans. We converse. We make our deepest connections through conversation. And yet, as you say, it's a whole different mental thing. I think you're even working out of another side of your brain when you are writing things down rather than conversing about them. So I think that's just brilliant. And I love it. Another gem for me. What do you guys think? We want to hear from you. So as we move into this next segment, then let's talk about how it relates to, as you would say, using your book to grow your business, because I know that that's why many, many people want to write a book. They want to build their exposure, increase their exposure as an expert, get known for these things that they are really good at. So we understand that that's part of the impetus, but then doing it and doing it the right way is where you step in. So let's learn a little bit about that.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways that you can use your book in your business, but the first place to start is understanding who you're actually speaking to. And we talked about that mirror, right? A lot of authors think, well, I'm talking to myself. I'm marketing to myself, and you're not. You're very much not. So understanding who you are really talking to will help you write a book that's actually going to resonate with your target audience. That's actually going to help them. Because if you talk to yourself, that's not who you're trying to sell to. You don't want to sell to yourself because you have the answers. You're not trying to sell someone who has all the answers. You're trying to sell someone who doesn't have the answers, that needs you as the gap fill. So that's starting with who you're talking to is instrumental in your book, in your business, everything. I think we know that as, business women, we need to know who we're talking to. The next thing is finding that partner that's going to help you write to the market that you're in, because market is super important. And this is where business books are so different than fiction. They're different than memoirs, autobiographies, all of those things, because you are writing to market conditions. You are writing to what your audience needs. You do need to be tailoring your message so that it has longevity in life. You don't want your book to be outdated in a year. You want it to
that's
last,
such an important point.
right? You want it to last 5 to 10 years. You don't want it to look back and say, oh, it's no longer culturally accepted, or it's missing the boat, or, books that don't incorporate AI at this point. I mean, AI is a tough example because who could have seen that coming in the way it's come?
Right.
But if you neglect AI at this point in your book, in your business book, you're likely missing a big component of where our future is going.
Mhm.
and what we need to have in there, especially if you're in like the marketing game or the business to business game, because
Right.
AI is taking over. So those market analysis, having a teammate on your side to help you with that so that you're writing a book that's going to last. And then marketing. Marketing is so important because you can write the best book in the world and you can have the most phenomenal publishing team. But if they don't teach you how to market your book, then there's no point. There is no point in publishing that book if you don't have a marketing plan, because it is not a read it and they will come scenario. You need to market your book, which is why we train our published authors how to specifically market their books in their business, how it's going to lead to more clients, how they can charge more in their businesses, how they can get speaking engagements, all of that good stuff on the back of their book.
Well, now I want to pause here again because you make a very important point, and obviously, my business is media spotlight marketing, so I'm really attuned to the importance of having consistent exposure for your business and your expertise. My question is, do you take them through this process actually even from the beginning of writing the book, so that the book may not be finished, right? And aren't there many opportunities to still talk about the book in the process and get the word out long before it's hit the publisher's site, right?
Yes. It's so funny you say that, because the way our program works is you come in and you do your ideal reader and your book's mission and vision statement. And then literally the next module to open up is marketing, because that is the next thing you want to be thinking about. And you want to be thinking about it throughout the entire process, because you want to be drumming up that excitement and that interest, but you also want to be polling your audience for what do they want to hear in your book. You can go to them and ask, like, hey, here's these 3 topics. Which one excites you the most? Which tip would you like me to expand on? Like, what blog post did you like? Like, you can involve your audience in the writing of your book. And the chances of them buying your book, if they feel like they've had influence in it, is so much higher. So yes, marketing is like the second thing you're thinking about once you start the book.
Yeah, and that's where someone like you comes in and is so helpful. I mean, just even key to the book writing process, because I don't think, even though you might be an entrepreneur and a small business owner or a solopreneur, I don't think that that's the top of your priority when you suddenly start to hone in, narrow in, and think, I'm writing a book. It's like, well, I don't want to think about marketing. I just want to get it done.
Yeah.
And yet here you're saying it's so important. It's integral to actually making the book better and involving your future potential readers in the process, so that you really are, as you say, the first thing you're defining is who's your audience, who are you speaking to? So if you're speaking to them throughout the development and the writing process, you're getting them involved. I think it sounds great. It's almost like you're partnering with them as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, these are great tips. And I think it's helping people understand that there's more depth to writing your book than you might think initially. And it's not necessarily about getting it out there or getting it done and getting it out there. It's thinking about how all these things integrate into making what you say is a book that has lasting value. Because you are right, so many things based on, especially in business, the changes in technology and such as AI, we couldn't have even anticipated that a year ago, right? It's really only been around since last fall, at least that I'm aware of, even though it's been in the making for a while. All right, well, I think these are great pieces of information. We want to hear from all of you what really sparked interest in your own mind about getting a book written. Put your questions in. We'll make sure that Larissa and I get back to you on the answers to those. Let's go into the third topic. You have 3 steps that you want to share with people that they can take right now to get this project off the ground. So go ahead and share those with us.
Yeah, absolutely. So we already talked about one, which is find your audience. Drop that mirror, that perception that you are talking to yourself, that you are just writing to you. You're not. You are writing to someone very in particular. And I want you to picture that person as one person. Give them a name, give them a hairstyle, give them a complexion, give them a body type, make them a whole person in your mind. What do they like? What do they don't like? And this is one that makes us very unique. What assumptions do they have about your topic? And I love that one because that is going to be the catalyst to your book. The thing that you are fighting against pretty much in every chapter of your book is breaking those assumptions, giving them the proof that they need to go against those assumptions. So find who you're writing to and what are they assuming about your topic. The second is to pick a topic, just nail down that topic and then create your outline. And nonfiction is it does rely very heavily on an outline, whereas with fiction, you can kind of get away with not having one. But with nonfiction, you do need to know what you're going to say and in what order to make your thoughts flow for your reader, because you have an objective with your book. Whether you know it or not, there is a point to your book. It exists for a reason. So map out your chapters, give them titles, give them bullet points of what's going to be in chapters. What stories are you going to tell in each chapter? That story element again of how are you putting yourself in this book? How are you showing up? How are you connecting? What stories are you sharing? And then the last one is to think about your marketing. Think about who you're going to be sharing this book with. How are you going to be finding this audience? That one person you have in your mind, where are they hanging out? How can you start engaging them early on? What tidbits can you start sharing? Can you start sharing quotes from your book at this point? It doesn't matter if the quote actually ends up in the book or not. Nobody's going to remember if it does, but it's drumming up the excitement, right? It's finding the partners to joint venture and endorse your book. It's the excitement that you're trying to build. So thinking about that marketing, and that's the 3 ways you can get in there. So find your ideal reader, get your outline out there, and think about your marketing strategy.
You make it sound so simple.
I've done this a lot, but it's not simple. I will never say that it's simple.
Yeah, and obviously it's not, because first of all, it takes a lot to, bare your soul in a book and get it out there and want the world to receive it well. And, I'm sure you have a few psychological issues you might be dealing with your clients as well. How do you approach those with them?
The psychological issues are always so interesting because they usually show up in 3 forms. I don't have the time, I don't have the skill, and I don't have the topic. Those are the 3. And they stem from, I really want to, but, and then the problem statement follows. And they're usually rooted in fear. Fear that somebody won't like what you have to say, that nobody will read your book, that somebody will disagree with you, that you won't be validated, that you won't see a return on investment. These are just fears. And once you label them as fears, especially with the women I work with, because we are mostly coaches, once you label it as fear and you go, oh, it's fear. Do I want fear to win? Do I want fear to stop me from getting in the way of my dreams? Is that really how I want this to go down? Is that really how I want this dream to die? Because I'm afraid? And most of the time the answer is no. I don't want fear to win. So you find a way to get around it. You find the support. Like I said, people come to me for the support. You find that coach, that community that's going to support you through those fears and guide you. You find that loving friend that's going to give you the pep talk that you need. You look back on your accomplishments and all the hard stuff you've done and prove to yourself that you can do this. But fear is never the reason something should die, especially a dream. Never. Yeah.
So I like this. And I think that what you're saying then is it's important probably to get the fear out there. Lay it on the table, put it out in the open, shed some light on it instead of pushing it down. and pretending it doesn't exist, because I think that fears exist within all of us to one degree or another. And then it's a matter of recognizing it and then building on the principle of courage.
Mm-hmm.
And that's again where a coach can be so helpful, because a coach can help you see through those blocks, those fear blocks that could be getting in the way, and help uplift you to a place of courage and say, yeah, I can get through this. And fear is no reason to have your dream die. I think that's another gem. We love your gems, Larissa. That's another gem. So we're just sort of wrapping this up a little bit. What in general would you say is the length of time that it takes someone to go through this process? First conceiving a book idea, saying, I'm going to move forward with this project. It's always been in the back of my mind. I really want to move forward with it. What is the time frame you would expect on average for someone to complete that kind of a project, get their book out there?
Yeah, with us on average, because your accountability is so much higher, your investment is higher, your willingness to dive in, it's about 6 months. Okay. From planning to publish, 6 months until you're holding your book. For those that don't have the accountability partner, that don't have the check-ins, that are just kind of writing ad hoc as they go, years. It can take you years to write your book if you don't have the goals, the written goals, something that you're looking at that's motivating you, that's pushing you forward. You don't have the check-in partner. You don't have the resources. It can take you years if you ever finish. And that is a big if you ever finish.
Yeah, I know someone who finally published a wonderful, wonderful children's book. She started it 20 years earlier, and I gave her so much kudos that she never gave up. Yes, it obviously got put on the back burner numerous times, but she never gave up, and she got it published and has gotten numerous awards for it. And so I know that that's what you want to avoid if you can. Mm-hmm. It's not to say, you can't take a long time. If that's what it takes, but that is the value of having someone like you that they can turn to really take that dream and make it a reality. Yeah. I think that's so inspiring, really. And you know me, I'm all about inspiration. And I'm also thinking, when you talk about those steps that you can start to take, which is getting the outline down, getting the main subject matter down, that even before you might get with Larissa, you guys could go ahead and use your own, what I call mind storming process, where you just start to pour these ideas out, throw them out, get them on paper, and don't care about what the order is or the outline is to begin with. Just get the ideas down, because then you start to have a creative flow going. And then Larissa can help you put it into the right order, right, Larissa?
Yeah. Send me your messy mind map. We'll go through it together. I love that. I've had people bring in a paper, and it says in the middle strength, and then it has all these things coming off of it. And we turn this into a 13, 14 chapter book, and the title is strength. And then it has a subtitle, right? But it all stems from something. There's one thing that it comes from.
Yeah. And it starts with an idea. And I say it starts with an inspired idea.
Yeah, that's right.
And from there you go, and you can get this done, and you can change the world, because all the people whose lives you can touch through your inspiration, through your experience, through your stories. I just say people are waiting for this. You never know whose life you might be touching, who you could change dramatically if you just stepped forward, had the courage to move through your fears and get your book out there. So I love this topic. I love your approach to it, Larissa. I think it's really valuable. And you do have a gift for people, and I want to bring that up so we can talk about that for a moment. For all of you, Larissa's going to explain it, but write this down first. And I'll also put it in the chat for you. Larissa's gift, you can go to shinetips.com/Larissa gift. And that's where you'll be able to pick it up. So Larissa, go ahead and tell everyone about what you're providing for them.
Absolutely. So we offer a monthly masterclass where you can come in and meet with us directly. And usually it's me that hosts these masterclass. So you can have some one-on-one time with me where we talk about what it takes to write a best-selling book for your business, understanding the publishing world. What does it mean to be a published author in this day and age? And breaking through some of those barriers that we just talked about, that I don't have the time, I don't have the resources, those ultimately fears that are holding you back. So we offer that every month. And, as a wonderful gift to your wonderful listeners, I'd like to offer free tickets to that. That's a $10 value. And you can go ahead and you can go to this link and grab your tickets to that show.
I love it. And you know what? A master class that has you helping them and inspiring them is worth a lot more than $10. And the fact that you're providing it at no cost to our viewers, thank you so much for that. And I hope you all take her up on this, because if you have at all had an inkling, just an inkling that maybe you've got some information or some story that would be of value to other people, it's probably time for you to step forward and get working on it. And just working and going to Larissa's masterclasses could just be the juice and the inspiration you need to move it to a completion level. So Larissa, I think that's just a wonderful gift, and I want to thank you so much for it. Let's wrap things up here today with perhaps how you might wrap all this wonderful information up in a beautiful bow. What is some final word that you might want to have people take home with them today?
Absolutely. And I'm going to pull a quote from, not a quote, but the chapter title. This is my newest published book called Get Published. And the chapter that I contributed to this book is called If Not Now, When? And you can actually, if you come to my masterclass, you can get entered to win a free signed copy of this book.
Oh, nice.
And the If Not Now, When premise, it comes back to the number one roadblock that I hear from people. I really want to, but not now. Comes back to that time, that resources, that skill, fear, right? If that is your answer to this dream, dig down into that. If not now, when? If that is really your answer, what is getting in your way from this dream? And does it really deserve to win out? So I ask you to reflect, if not now, when?
Beautiful. What beautiful parting words. Larissa, this has been just an absolute pleasure to get to know you and really help let's spread the word about the possibilities that exist for all of you ladies and guys out there who really want to get the word out on paper, get their message out in a book. So appreciative of having you here today. So I want to thank you once again, and I want to thank all of you for taking the time to be here, because we know your time is valuable. So now take some of these tips and go out and start to work with them. Have a great day, everyone. And Larissa, thank you once again. Bye-bye now. Thanks so much for watching today. Do you know someone who would be a great guest for our show? Or would you like to be a guest on the Inspirational Businesswoman Show? Let's shine the spotlight on your expertise. We'll share your story while offering tips, strategies, and advice to our viewers. Expert interviews are a great way to build your reputation as the go-to expert. Go to shinetips.com/IBWS to apply today. Women are waiting for your message, and I can't wait to interview you.